What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to share with you the cost of living in Mazatlan, Sinaloa. So to give you a little bit of backstories, if you are new to this channel, my name is Salwa. I have been a full-time digital nomad for 5 years, and at the end of those 5 years I started to get really tired and I ended up in Mexico, and I decided to settle in Mexico, Mazatlan to be precise, and I lived there for about 10 months. So in today's video, I'm going to break down the cost of living in case you are interested in moving to Mazatlan as well. So I am going to give you an average of the breakdown, but ultimately it will depend on your needs, on your budget, and what you prefer the most. You can find things that are really affordable up to really expensive. So it really depends on where you are and what you're looking for. But I will share with you some of my experiences in hopes to help you out deciding if Mazatlan is the right place for you. First, let me start by saying that Mazatlan is one of the most affordable beach city in Mexico, and it's really heaven for remote workers, for expats, and for people who wish to retire in Mazatlan. All right, so first thing first is rent. So before I tell you more about renting in Mazatlan, I think what you need to know is the area where it's best to stay, and that would really depend on your preferences. But I did another video where I explain all the things you need to know about Mazatlan, and in there I break down each neighborhood I recommend, or neighborhood that are recommended for expats to stay. Right now I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown. So we have different ones. We have El Malecón. So El Malecón is the boardwalk, one of the longest in the world. So if you decide to live there, it will be a little bit more expensive, but you will have the ocean view. You have the Centro Histórico, which is a little bit quieter and more historical, more culture. You have Cerrito, which is a little bit further away, definitely quieter, and also beachfront properties there. Then you have Zona Dorada. This is where all the action happens. You have hotels, nightclubs, restaurant. I mean, there's a lot going on in Zona Dorada, so some people prefer to stay there as well. And then if you want something a little bit more luxurious, I'd recommend La Marina. There you can see all the boats, docks. Again, you have beachfront property. Is definitely more expensive, but also very beautiful. So once you have decided where you want to stay, now let me tell you about the rent. First, let me share a little bit about my story. So when I first arrived in Mazatlan, that was last year. I've been living in Mexico now for about a year, but I've lived in Mazatlan about 10 months. When I first arrived, I didn't know anything about Mazatlan. I had a friend there who lived near the Malecón, and first I stayed with her for a couple of days, and then the first thing I did is I booked an Airbnb. I looked at Centro Histórico, this is where I wanted to go, and I found an Airbnb there. I stayed there for a little bit until I decided I wanted to stay longer. So then I talked to the landlord and I asked the landlord, Karen, if I could sign a lease for a long term, and that was perfect because she agreed. And so my rent for a 2-bedroom apartment was $700 US. I was right in Centro Histórico and all the bills were included. So I felt that was really in the heart of Mazatlan. And for me, that was something that I was looking for. So I had 1 bedroom and I had an office space. I had a little living room and everything else. By the way, I've made a whole video on how to find an apartment in Mexico, and you can find it right here. And I will be breaking it down even further on that video. This is how much I paid in the Centro Histórico. After that, I broke my lease and I moved to the Malecón, more specifically Los Pinitos or Los Pinos. If you want to know more about contracts, breaking the lease, deposit, all of that, just leave me in a comment down below and I'll be happy to make another video that will break down all the details. Moving on, I moved across the beach in Los Pinos. In there, I had a 3-bedroom apartment, which honestly was way too big for me. I realized later on that 2 of the rooms I've never used. 1 room was used for guests when they were coming, and then my bedroom. So then I realized this is too big, but I did pay $900 US. The good point is that I had the ocean view, and then also I had a very large apartment, but honestly, it was not necessary for me. I think it's because I travel for 5 years doing house sits and staying in hotels that I just wanted to have my own space, and then I got a little crazy. But I ended up staying there about 7 months before I'm leaving again. If you want to stay in those areas, the price will be between $500 to $900, oftentimes with bills included. know that if you don't want to stay in those areas and you want to be a little bit further away, you can find something as low as $350. So it's very affordable in my opinion. So it really depends on what you want. I'm a solo traveler, so I wanted to be in those good areas to make sure that I was safe. That was really my priority, and that's why I didn't mind paying a little bit more for that. For the utility bills, so this is it depends if it's included in your rent or not. So for me, in 2 occasions, it was included, but you can count somewhere between, I would say, $60 to $150, more on the high end in the summer because it gets really hot and honestly you need air conditioning. That's one thing. If you're planning to move to Mazatlan, make sure your unit, your apartment have AC. It is really unbearable in the summertime without air conditioning. But your bill can go up to $150 with AC. So overall, your bill for utility, which will include water, electric, trash, if you have a building, include that into your utility bills, you will look at somewhere between $60 to $150 on average per month. All right, so let's talk about groceries. So again, I'm one person, so what I would spend a month would be somewhere between $200 and $300. At the grocery store, I would go to Soriana mainly. That's the store I decided to go. They have a bunch of other grocery stores, but for what I decided to go for, Soriana, my monthly bill would be somewhere between $200 and $300. Also, they have the Mercado Suarez, but they have other mercados you can go to, and there you can find fresh fruits and vegetables, and it's oftentimes a lot cheaper and the produce at fresh. So it's another great recommendation. What I would do, I would go buy my groceries at Soriana once a week. And then on the weekend, I would go to the Mercado to get what I needed as far as fruits, vegetables, nuts, and all that. Eating out, if you eat street food, that is very affordable. You can have tacos on the streets I remember one time I paid 50 pesos for 3 taquitos. So that's about $2.50. So honestly, street food, highly recommended. It's delicious, it's affordable, I'm not sure if it's always healthy. Also, I've never been sick. I know some people get sick, but I've never been sick. And I've made another video about all the street food in Mexico. You should check it out right here. I mean, I've been in Mexico for so long, I've done video about everything. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below. All right, so if you want to eat out at a restaurant, average restaurant, it costs you between $5 to $10. If you want to go to a higher end restaurant, you can look at somewhere between $15 and $30. Oftentimes include a cocktail. Let's move on to transportation now. So what I did, because I lived in Centro, I mainly walked everywhere. And when I didn't walk, I would order an Uber or a Didi. They are much more affordable than the US, somewhere around $5 to $10. You can also take taxi. Honestly, I've never taken a taxi in Mexico. The only time I would take a taxi is if their Uber would not come to the airport. And in Mazatlan, it's the case. So they cannot pick you up or drop you off at the airport. So you need to take a taxi. But for that, you will go inside the airport, purchase your ticket, and then you're gonna give it to the taxi who's gonna drop you off to your destination, and I can also tip them. I usually tip them 10%, sometimes less. It really depends, but I try to tip them. And on average, the taxi from wherever zone 1, zone 2 in Mazatlan will cost you around 400 pesos, so about $20. Also, over time, what I decided to do is to just be friends with some of the taxis. So I had 2 taxi drivers that I knew, and every time I needed to go to the airport or they needed to pick up some of my friends, I would text them and they would go there and then I would pay them cash. So this is how I basically did it when I was in Mazatlan. Another option is the bus. There's a green bus. That bus, the last time I checked, was 13 pesos, so about 65 cents. And it takes you all the way to Cerrito, all the way down to the Centro Histórico. Very affordable, but I honestly didn't really take it that much. But if you want to save money, this is another great alternative. And the green bus has air conditioning, which is a plus. The next thing you could do is to rent a car. I honestly don't recommend it, A, because it's expensive, and B, sometimes the tourists are targeted because they have the rental stickers. But that's for a whole other stories. But I personally never rented a car in Mexico. All right, let's talk healthcare. First of all, Mexico is very affordable for healthcare, and they have some of the best ones, honestly. So I never really needed anything, although one time I felt sick. I don't remember exactly what I have, but they have this pharmacy called Farmacias Similares, which is really awesome. So you go in, and basically it's a pharmacy, and next to the pharmacy you have a doctor office. And guess what? It is 50 pesos to see the doctors. No appointment, you go in, and you will pay $2.50 to have a doctor check what's going on with you and tell you what you need. And I remember that time I had an infection in my ear, and so the doctor checked it out. I filled out a few documents, and then what happened after that is that the pharmacy that is right next door is where you go to pick up your prescription. So really affordable. That happened one time. Also, the dentist, I went to the dentist and I did a root canal here, and my total, I had to go to 2 visits with x-ray, was $90 US. Girl, if I tell you the story that had happened to me in the US with my teeth, it is incredible. I've had infections and doctor didn't want to help me out if I didn't pay over $2,500. I didn't have the money, and I remember that I was in pain. So I had my sister, who's a nurse, ship me antibiotics that I took for 8 days. And then I think 2 months later, I booked a flight for $600 US, and I went back to Europe where I got my teeth fixed. But when I tell you I had an infection, my jaw was this big and I was in tremendous pain. I went to see 2 dentists. One was even a clinic, the other one was a school of dentists, and none of them would help me. So I was on Tylenol until my sister sent me those prescriptions. So I would never forget this. Anyways, here you can fix your teeth. Everything is a lot more affordable than the United States. So this is what I'm, measuring with. So for a doctor visit, you can look at somewhere between $30 to $50 outside of Farmacias Similares. And for the dentist, you can look at somewhere between $40 to $80, $90 for a visit. There are private health insurance here. You can also have your expat or international health insurance here. I've done that at the beginning, but now I just go to private doctors and pay directly when I get there. Oh, there's one more thing. I started doing physical therapy here, and my sessions is $25 US, and it's about almost 2 hours. We do everything between putting those needles or electroshock, I don't know, on my knee because I have a bad knee. And we do some stretchings and exercise. And honestly, I'm just like super, super grateful that I'm able to do this here and to afford this here. And one last thing about prescriptions and healthcare here in Mexico. It is about 70% cheaper than the US. So if you need to do something here and you can cross the border, come and get your health check. Honestly, it's that affordable. All right, so let's talk about entertainment and lifestyle. I didn't really spend much money on anything except the gym. So check this out. I signed up with the gym. That was a small gym, so it was not a fancy gym. And I had a private trainer, and I pay 1,000 pesos per month. This is $50, and I had full access to private training with my trainer. I had his number, and I would go 3 times a week. And if I wanted to go 5 times, that was included. That was for the whole month, but I would go about 3 times a week, and I would do about 45 minutes to an hour training with my trainer. So honestly, I think in the US, it's probably in the hundreds now for a private session. So this was included with the gym. So that's what I spent on the gym. I don't remember anything else that I spend money on when it comes to entertainment. But if you had to include it in your budget, I would say include somewhere between $5 to $50 for extra stuff, like maybe movie theaters, theater plays, concerts, things like that. So let's talk about phone plans. So my first year, I wasn't sure if I was going to stay or not in Mexico, so I decided to just go with Telcel. That's the phone provider I use. I got a number, and then I just recharged my phone every month, and I would put $20, and I think it would give me about 6 to 8 gigabytes of internet and a new number. And also you have unlimited WhatsApp and social media on there, and I believe, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger. So you have that always free. And then you have your data on top of that. But now that I've been here for over a year, I'm considering going with a plan. And I know AT&T offer a year plan, and I think it's $250 for the year, unlimited, I think. So I think I'm gonna go check that out next. But as of right now, this is what I'm doing, $20 every month on my phone. And honestly, this is all I need, you know. My home internet was included in my bill, but I know I use Mega Cable, and my bill was about 600 pesos per month. So about $30, and I had fiber. So I had the highest speed of internet because I work from home. So for me, this was very important. For phone and internet, both of them, I would count about $50 a month. Did you know that I used to pay $100 a month? That was like 5 years ago in the US for my phone plans, $100 a month. And I'm down to 20. All right, last thing I want to share with you is for my ladies, it's the beauty side of things. So here in Mexico, I can get my nails done. I can get a lot done, mani, pedi, eyelash, massages, my hair. And on average, it would cost me somewhere between, okay, let's check this out. Last time I did my nails, mani pedi, for those who know, gel, acrylic, I paid for both about between $30 and $40 for both. My hair, if I'm gonna do a blowout, a cut, or color are more expensive, but I know for a blowout and a cut, it would be around $20, $25. And then if you want a massage, I go to this lady here who's really amazing. She has a studio, and I do an hour massage for about 600 to 700 pesos. So between $30 to $35. Also, do not forget to tip. It's common to tip between 10 to 20%. I usually give 15 to 20 depending on the service. So let's do the overall budget you would need if you want to come live in Mazatlan. So if you are on a budget lifestyle, you can live comfortably between $900 to $1,500 a month. If you want to up a notch and a comfortable lifestyle, you can look at somewhere between 1,500 to 2,500, and you can live really, really well. And if you want to have that luxury lifestyle, 2,500 plus gets you really, really a nice lifestyle here in Mexico. So yes, living here in Mexico makes a huge difference compared to the US. Ladies and gentlemen, I worked 2, 3 jobs, sometimes 4 when I was in the US, and at the end of the month, I was still struggling and I was stressed. It was terrible. And finally now living here, I can enjoy my life. I don't have to spend too much, and I can still live in a nice area, take an Uber when I want, go out and eat with friends if I want to, without thinking much about it. So I highly recommend. I think Mazatlan is very affordable. It's a beach town. There's a lot to do. And in Mexico in general, if you are thinking about moving to Mexico, I honestly recommend it. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And one more thing, I do have a guide. If you are wishing to move to Mexico, I will leave the guide link down below. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye from Mexico.